Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Recently, a company that you probably are very familiar with called Synology reached out via email and asked if I was interested in working with them to talk about one of their NAS devices. And how do you say no to that? They want to send me some hardware that I've been wanting for a long time. So of course I said yes. We worked it out, going back and forth, talking about some different things, and they ended up sending me the DS1621xs Plus, which is a beast of a machine in the configuration that they sent it to me in. This has 6 bays in it. They actually sent me 6 8 terabyte Seagate Xeon enterprise drives to populate this thing with. It also came with 16 gigs of RAM, and if you're not familiar with this line, it's also got an Intel Xeon processor in it with 4 cores and hyper threading, so effectively 8 processing cores in this unit. I believe it's got a 225 or 250 watt power supply in it, which will be a huge downgrade as far as power consumption is concerned from my old system with an FX 8350 and a GTX 770 in it. It's going to really bring down my power usage quite a bit, I believe. So I'm real stoked about that. So I want to give a big shout out to Synology for making this content possible by sending over this device. So my upcoming content for a little while is going to focus on this a little bit, but we're also going to use it for upcoming content in a way that might actually surprise you. So let's jump over to my desk where we're going to take a look at getting this thing set up. Then we'll go through kind of the process of getting the operating system installed and configured, get some data moved over to it after we've created some folders, and just get it set up and ready to go so that we can start doing some real fun stuff with this device. So let's jump over to my desktop and get started. Okay, so here we are on the back of the device, and of course it's a pretty standard layout. We've got over here our power AC in, which we can plug in the included power cable. Below that we've got a Kensington lock, so we can plug one of those in if we happen to have one. It didn't come with one, but it's there if you need it. Here we've got 2 USB 3 ports. We've got a 10 gig RJ45 LAN port. I dig that it's an RJ45 instead of an SPF or something like that. Of course, over here next to that, we've got 2 1 gig RJ45 network ports. And then over here on the far right, we've got 2 eSATA ports to add the extension boxes if you wanted to add additional drive boxes to this. Of course, a couple of fans, got to have those. And then over here, we've actually got an expansion slot for an additional PCIe port over here. I'm actually not sure what size it is, probably a 4X. But if you wanted to add, more 10 gig ports to that or whatever, you could do that through this PCIe slot by putting a card in there. All right, so here we are on the front of the device. You can see that I've already removed the drive cages so that we can get a look at what's going on inside there. Of course, those fans you can see all the way through there, so that's where where all your air is going to come through to keep your drives cool. We've got six bays in here, of course. And then if we look over right here, there are actually 2 NVMe M.2 slots. I've got one of them populated with a 2 terabyte Sabrent NVMe drive used for caching. Now, 2 terabytes here is a bit overkill, to be completely honest. I've seen other people unboxing these who received these devices from Synology, and they received a couple of 400 gig drives to put in there for caching and that sort of thing. I didn't get that. I'm actually happy with what they sent over. They sent over, of course, those 6 8 terabyte Seagate Exos enterprise drives, which is very cool. I just happen to have this 2 terabyte drive laying around, the courtesy of Sabrent. They sent that over. I wanted a caching drive in here, so there is a 2 terabyte caching drive. I may change this out for a couple of smaller drives to put in there, but you do have the access, or you have access to put 2 drives in there. Now again, these are only for caching. These won't be available as additional storage currently, so just something to keep in mind there. So let's go ahead and put some drives in this and see how that process goes. Putting the drives in here wasn't too bad. These little tabs come off, drive goes in, tabs go back in on both sides. Pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and slide that in there like so, and it just clicks in like that. So it really couldn't be any easier than that, I don't think. Let's keep going here. Of course, like I said, those are those 8 terabyte Exos drives. Just like that. And now we've got all 6 of our drives in there ready to go. Now, one thing I would encourage, if you've got, let's say, helpers in your house, or other people who may not know better, I would encourage you to grab these keys and lock these drives in place, just to keep them in place and keep people from messing things up. So we're just going to go ahead and lock all 6 of those drives. I guess we should talk a little bit about what's going on here additionally. So we've got a couple of indicators for status and alert. We've got a power button here, 3 LAN indicators, as well as a USB 3 port here on the bottom as well. Very, very subdued look. I really dig it. Will just fit nicely anywhere as far as an aesthetic is concerned. So in the box, there were some accessories. We've got some hard drive screws here, a couple of network cables. Those actually feel really nice and hefty, if I could get that in frame. So anyway, a bag of hard drive screws, a couple of network cables, as well as a power cable. So I'm actually going to take this time to plug it into the wall, as well as my network, and then we'll get this thing turned on and jump over to my desktop. Okay, so here we are a few minutes later. When I turned the device on, it sounded like a jet plane taking off, ramping up the fans. In fact, you could probably maybe even be able to hear the fans right now, a little bit in the background. But here we are a few minutes later, after it's done its first boot up and whatnot. I was able to go to Synology NAS port 5000 in my browser, and this popped up. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the setup button here. So now it wants to install the latest DSM, which is their disk station manager. That's their operating system. So we'll go ahead and click it, install now. And I understand that all of that will be removed. That's fine. I didn't have anything on there anyway. Those are brand new disks. So I'm going to click OK. And this will be ready, it says, in approximately 10 minutes. Of course, we're hoping for no power outages or anything like that while this is going on. So we'll just let this sit here and do its thing. And then when it comes back, we'll take a look and see what DSM looks like. Okay, so here we are a few minutes later. It looks like the OS is installed. So let's go ahead and give the server a name. I actually had a conversation about this in my Discord last night as this was out for delivery. And I think I'm going to go with Jarvis. My username is going to be dbtech, like so, and we'll click next. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new Synology account, or a quick connect ID. And of course, I agree to all of their privacy policy statements and whatnot. All right, so now we've got everything all set up, and now our next option is to take a quick guided tour of DSM. Okay, so here we are on my desktop, and this is the first thing that popped up, saying that there's a smart update. Anytime there's a new DSM update ready, Synology will automatically check for the update and address any issues and take care of it. So that's good. Device analytics, sure, I'll do that. Privacy statement, yep. So access all built-in and installed packages from the main menu. Let's click there. Discover more applications at the package center. More settings. All right, so recommend enabling Security Advisor to enhance security. That's good. Synology account has not been activated. So I'm going to go check my email and deal with that here in a bit. Right, so RAM and CPU are basically negligible at this point, as they should be. So let's go over to Package Center. Yep, I agree. I acknowledge. And of course we need Docker. Yeah, we want Docker. Oh, well then, let's do Storage Manager then. And we don't have any volumes, but 6 unused drives. So let's take a look at our storage pool. Let's create a storage pool. So I guess we'll go with better performance. Looks like we've got several options here as far as RAID is concerned. Minimum of 3 drives is required. RAID 5 can sustain this loss of a single drive. Yeah. So we'll just call this, let's just call it files. All right, so then we'll just drag all of these over to here to create a full drive pool there. Say next. All the data and newly added drives will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? Yeah, I'm sure. All right, so we've got 6 drives, and RAID 5 gives us about 36.36 terabytes. So we'll go ahead and click apply. Before using space and storage shows, you have to create a volume first. You can go to the volume page. All right. So that's all good. So it's going to do some stuff in the background here. It looks like at this rate, this is going to take a while. So I guess we'll just let this do its thing, and then we'll come back when it's done. Okay, so here we are, actually the next day. This did take quite a while to finish up, to go through and do everything it needed to do the consistency check. So if I go and click on that, here we can see, there we go. It looks like I finished around midnight this morning. Looks like everything there is good to go. So I can go ahead and close that, and I can close this. This is just kind of hanging out doing its thing. So next thing we want to do here is open this up, go to shared folders, and then we'll come over here to create. I'm going to create a new shared folder. I'm going to call this one, I'm actually going to make a few of these folders now that I think about it. I'm going to call one movies. Of course, I want this to be available on that storage pool. We're not going to hide this. I want this to be available. I don't want to hide anything. Recycle bin, sure, why not? I'm not going to encrypt this. This is going to be a public shared folder. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Sure, we'll go ahead and enable data checksum, maybe. Let's see what this says. Oh, no, let's not do that right now. And we do not want to enable a shared folder quota. I'm going to go ahead and click on next there. All of this looks fine so far. What I do want to do, though, is I want guests. We're just going to make everybody be able to read and write on that. And I think that'll be good to go. So we'll go and click on next. And there we've got movies, so that's good. What I want to do, though, is actually verify that this is going to work. So I'm going to drag this up here, and I'm going to do a double backslash. And I'm going to type in my IP address, 211. Let's go ahead and open that. Hey, there is movies. And I was able to open that very quickly, so that's good to go. So let's drag this back out, and let's create... Oh, I can right-click there. That's cool. I want to create this one. I want to call this one TV. All of this is fine. This should be pretty straightforward, I think, at this point. I'm just going to make all of these very basic shares here, and of course, I want everybody to be able to read and write. And it looks like that is good. So let's bring this back up. Let's come back out. Hey, there's TV. So there's that. That's good. We've got movies. We've got TV. I need to create one for kids' movies. Oops. Movies. Like so. I can't put an apostrophe in there on either side of that S, so we're just gonna have to live with that. So let's see. But this is all straightforward stuff again. I want everyone. Oops. I know I could probably just check guest and it would be fine, but I like to check all of those. So go ahead and do that. We're gonna do actually a couple of more now that I think about it. We're gonna call this Kids TV. Oops. And we'll click next, and we'll click next, and we'll click next, and we'll click next. And then we'll check all these boxes. We'll say OK. And then one more for music. Oops. Like so. And we'll go ahead and click next all the way through all of this again. Everybody gets read and write privileges. just like that. So then if I bring this up and hit refresh, there we go. There are all of our shared folders there. I think this means I can start moving my data over. So that will be the next step. Okay, so there you go. There's the setup process for the DS1621xs Plus. I know that this will be very similar for most of the other Synology devices, but I'm just thrilled that Synology sent this over to me, that they reached out to me and wanted to work with me. And really, I want to thank you guys, the audience, because without you, this wouldn't have been possible. You guys subscribing and interacting, watching my content is what has actually made this possible. So thank you guys for that. I really do appreciate it. If you want to pick up one of these devices or know more about any of the hardware that I talked about in this video, definitely check out the links in the description down below. I will have links to everything down there. Also, while you're down there, if you want to support the channel, there will be a couple of different ways you can do that, whether it's Coffee or Patreon or becoming a channel member. All of those are options if you want to. Of course, you never have to. That's all just a cherry on the top of this ice cream sundae. So, I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.